British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, I'm Sophie Hansen with your news updates to 10 o'clock. Mediated talks between the union representing Handy-Dart workers and Transdev are set to resume today as a strike that stopped most services drags into a second week. No timeline has been set for the length of negotiations. Joe McCann, president of the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1724, says they're willing to stay there as long as it takes. Our producer Spencer Pomeroy has more on the demands from the union.
The dispute centers mostly around pay, arguing its members don't make as much as others working similar roles elsewhere in Canada. Transdev said earlier this week that it will provide a reply to the union's latest proposal later today. Some more news you can expect today: the official launch of Lime scooters in Vancouver, and Skibbity Rizzler, how BC teachers are staying on top of new slang in schools. Back to you.
Now, BC RCMP say there's no evidence the devastating fire that tore through Lytton more than 3 years ago was arson. Police have concluded their investigation into the wildfire, saying they can't pinpoint the cause of the blaze that killed 2 people and destroyed much of the village. The RCMP collected evidence, including 400 videos and photos, and reviewed parallel investigations by the BC Coroner's Service and BC Wildfire Service. The European Union's top diplomat is urging Lebanon and Israel to work on de-escalating tensions along their borders. More than 500 people have been killed in Lebanon by Israeli strikes since October 8th, most of them fighters with Hezbollah and other armed groups. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says the situation in Lebanon and Israel is on the brink of escalating out of control.
Since then, the fears I was outlining has been growing. More escalation, fears of regional spillover of the war in Gaza, and fears of more widespread human suffering.
In northern Israel, 23 soldiers and 26 civilians have been killed by strikes from Lebanon. A potential strike at Canada's largest airline is only days away. The union representing Air Canada pilots says a 72-hour strike or lockout notice could be issued as early as Sunday, and that could lead to a full stoppage as soon as Wednesday. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce is among the business groups set to hold an event in Ottawa today to urge the federal government to intervene. So far, the talks around wages and other demands appear to be at a deadlock. Nearly 200 people have died and 128 are missing in the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi in Vietnam. ABC reporter Britt Clement has more on the devastation.
The Vietnam death toll spiked earlier this week as a flash flood swept away an entire village in northern Vietnam. In Hanoi, people waded through muddy water up to their knees, some still wearing their helmets after abandoning their motorcycles along the way. And in north of Hanoi, deadly landslides and severe floods are still affecting several areas.
Yagi was the strongest typhoon to hit Southeast Asia in decades. Francine has weakened to a tropical storm after slamming into Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane, causing widespread power outages and sending a dangerous storm surge rushing into coastal communities. ABC Ginger C says some southern states that are in the path of the storm are worried about severe structural damage.
We're talking about wind that could be in excess of 55 miles per hour just on what's left of this storm as it moves north. Memphis at 3 p.m., you've got gusts upwards of 55. Tupelo, close to 60. So now that this thing is moving north, even places like Paducah will be feeling it by tonight. And on top of all of that, the flood risk is high. Birmingham, Alabama, not only will you be very windy today, but you could easily see 4 to 6 inches fall very quickly.
And for some local weather here in Burnaby, it's mainly clouds with some breaks throughout the day with a high of 19 and a low of 12. These have been your news updates to 10 o'clock. I'm Sophie Hansen with BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning, I'm Nicholas Hauka. I got your headlines, I'm telling them to you. Dear Crow streamers, listen in. There's some stories and post-game comments with your sports update to 10:10. The Toronto Blue Jays dropped their matchup with the New York Mets 6-2. Blue Jays pitcher Bowden Francis had a no-hit bid come to an end in the 9th inning. Reporter Greg Strong says this may feel like deja vu for Francis.
On August 24th, Taylor Ward led off the 9th with a homer to end Bowden Francis's attempt at a no-hitter. Today it was New York slugger Francisco Lindor who took an 0-2 pitch over the wall. That ended Francis's day at 111 pitches. The Toronto bullpen struggled after that in a 6-2 loss to the Mets. Francis and Dave Stieb are the only pitchers in Blue Jays history to have multiple no-hit bids spoiled in the 9th. Stieb threw the lone no-hitter in franchise history back in 1990. Greg Strong, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
With the loss, the Mets win the 3-game series between the two clubs 2-1. The New York Yankees defeated the Kansas City Royals 4-3 in a game which went to the 11th inning. Yankees manager Aaron Boone says the little things the team did well tonight will help the club moving forward.
We're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and we have guys that are capable of doing that. But I think with our roster right now, not only are 1 through 9 our lineup, but the bench, we've got some versatility and flexibility and different ways to win a ball game. So, tonight, some little things. The stolen base has played a key role.
Tyler O'Neill hit a 3-run homer to left field in the 10th inning to propel the Boston Red Sox to a 5-3 victory over the Baltimore Orioles. Red Sox manager Alex Cora says his team can't celebrate the series win for too long, with the Yankees serving as their next opponent.
We just won a series against one of the best teams in the big leagues, but obviously in our situation, it's not enough. We got to continue. And we won two series here at home. For some people it doesn't feel great, but for us it does. And now we go to New York and try to play good baseball there.
With the Orioles' loss and the Yankees winning their matchup, New York is now in the lead of the AL East by a game and a half over Baltimore. In collegiate athletics, the Pacific 12 Conference is adding Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State to play within the conference starting in 2026. The additions will take the Mountain West Conference's 4 most prominent schools and successful football programs, most notably Boise State. The Pac-12 and the departing schools will likely be on the hook for about $110 million in exit fees to the Mountain West. National Football League quarterback Deshaun Watson is denying any wrongdoing in the latest lawsuit accusing him of sexual misconduct. Gettin Coolbaugh says Watson isn't worried about further discipline from the league.
Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson said he was surprised by the latest civil lawsuit filed against him by a woman who alleges he sexually assaulted her 4 years ago. The woman filed the lawsuit in Texas, claiming Watson forced himself on her during a dinner date at her apartment in 2020. Watson says he was unaware of the allegations before Monday. Watson adds he isn't concerned about possible new punishment from the NFL. The league is examining the new lawsuit to see if he violated the personal conduct policy. He's made just 13 starts in 3 seasons with Cleveland. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Mark Wysick is the new team president for the Ottawa Blackjacks of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. He has over 35 years of entrepreneurial experience across several industries, including sports, technology, high net worth finance, transportation, and biopharmaceuticals. Wysick has played basketball for his entire life, including for the University of Ottawa. He went on to be an assistant coach for the university, helping them win the Wilson Cup championship in 1993. Leo B. Doyle was also introduced as the Blackjacks' new community advisor. Doyle will assist in expanding the team's community portfolio and connecting with key local figures to support local clubs and organizations. That was your sports update to 1010. I hope you found the updates you were looking for. It's hard to say it, but time to say it. Goodbye, goodbye. I'm Nicholas Hauka. Thank you for listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.